I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, so we have a early safety briefing. Yes.
All right, good morning, everyone. I will be conducting a quarterly safety briefing to ensure that all new board members are well informed of our safety protocols and procedures. Okay, so today's date is Friday, March 7th, 2025. Physical address 949 East Channel Street. Emergency equipment location, AED and first aid kits located in customer service. Designees, person to call 911 will be Jackie. First runner to meet the first responders will be customer service, and I will be the CPR qualified person in the room. So, earthquake procedures: drop, cover, and hold. After the earthquake, evacuate to the designated assembly area. Follow instructions from the emergency responders. Please take a moment to identify the exit routes. So, for those all on this side, exit route is going to be the back doors. Everyone on this side is going to exit through this door and go to the platform side doors, meaning that the designated assembly area is going to be under the awning outside. Okay. Situational awareness: be aware of your surroundings, identify and report any hazards to prevent trips, slips, and falls. Let's see here. Anyone that is a DNR or have a medical condition or an EpiPen, put your note in your right pocket or right shoe and let the program administrator know. And if you see something, say something, report any suspicious activity to safety and security. Restroom locations is down the hall to the left. Other than that, do I have any questions? Remember, this is going to be a quarterly safety briefing. That'll be given out to everyone as a reminder. So, any questions? All right, let's have a great meeting.
Thank you. Staff, roll call, please.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand.
Here.
Commissioner Solomon wasn't able to make it today. Ariola.
Present.
Dane. Fugazi. Morowitz. Vice Chair Zuber.
Here.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Here.
Ex officio members, do we have someone from Stamcog?
Here, Suze Wallen, Mayor of Modesto.
Thank you. SJCOG is not able to make it today. SJRRC.
Good morning, Ken Baxter.
You, Caltrans.
This is Tom Dumas.
Thank you. We do have one.
Very good. Thank you very much. So if we can move on to the next item, we're taking public comment on, we need public comment on any new agenda item. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Do we have any online?
Being none online.
Thank you. Do we have any public comment in the room? Seeing none in the room, we can move on to the next item. Consent calendar. Do we have anyone that would like to pull an item or just get some information on any of the consent calendar items?
Consent.
So moved. Do I have a second to approve consent?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We can have a roll call.
Thank you. Commissioners Marchand.
Aye.
Ariola.
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber.
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Moving on rather quickly today. We can go to item 6, adopting resolution of the Rail Commission to adopt the ACE Fair program. So Mr. LaFar, you've got our report.
And thank you, Chair and Commissioners. We're going to do this item in 2 parts. I'm going to provide an update and sort of an overview of the ACE ticketing platform project, since it's been a while since we brought sort of an item related to that, because the item that Nick is going to present will be closely related to that project. So back in 22-23, staff launched the new ticketing platform project, which really the goal of that project was to modernize the ACE ticketing sort of arrangement, like how we sell tickets to passengers, both in the app as well as in the station, as well as really like looking to the future with the San Joaquins, like how would we do those things together as we work together on the Valley Rail program. As staff dug into the project and presented some updates to you, the commission, we made the decision to break that project up into 2 phases. The first phase was really going to focus on ACE, like what does ACE need today? And then the second phase was going to focus on the San Joaquins. And really, the reason for this is that the San Joaquins needs are much more complicated than ACE. And we didn't want ACE to get sort of wrapped up in all of the complications that the San Joaquins needs, but to get its needs handled as sort of as efficiently as possible, knowing that through sort of all of the awesome technology that we have today, that we would be able to integrate these two systems together. And that's really the path that we're still on. At your April 2024 meeting, the Rail Commission approved a contract with a company named Kuba, who is developing all of the requirements for phase one. So essentially all of the requirements for ACE. And really, sort of how did we get here from just a project perspective? Really, there's some practical needs that the ACE service has. One is that the way that we do paper ticketing today, whereas if you were to go into the lobby and purchase an ACE ticket, you would get a ticket that needs to be put into a mechanical validator. And there's a few here at the Cabral station, but those mechanical validators are at their end of life and they're no longer supportive. And, our maintenance team is sort of really like keeping them together like MacGyver with some duct tape and chewing gum. And we really need to sort of move on from that specific way of doing things. And then kind of, when you buy a ticket from a ticket agent, it's a very manual process right now, and there's better ways that we can do that with the technology that's available. And then some of the manual processes that are involved in the paper ticketing side are really not things that we envision cascading down the new corridor as we open up different areas for people to buy tickets. We're really just sort of complicating the situation even more than it is today. And then, as I mentioned before, that we have a lot of future vision as a part of this agency. As we think about the future, well, how can someone really seamlessly travel on the systems that we oversee, and really need a project that's really going to envision what that future might be. So we took the approach to this project in really these phases here. So we've gone through a need assessment of, well, what does ACE need, both from a staff perspective, like what does staff need to sell tickets, to monitor the sales, to really forecast and really bring data back to you, the commission, but also what does the passenger need? Like, how can we improve the passenger experience? There are a few things, in particular. I think one of the ones that we talk all the time is, passengers who really like to sleep on the train. They don't want to be disturbed. So we're really trying to solve that one. And we asked all the market, we're like, well, how do we solve that problem there? Well, no one has asked that question before, right? So we're forging new ground. And we did some market research. So as we took our needs to the market, we said, well, how do we solve these with the technologies that are available? And that led to what is a document called the Concept of Operations. It's like, well, if we were to do this, what does it look like here, for the agency? We released that request for proposal, and then we onboarded a new ticketing vendor back in April, and we're in the design and development of that system now. And as we progress through, this is really the deliverables of that. And this is a slide that we've shown before, of that contract with Kuba. They're going to deliver a new mobile application for ACE. They're going to deliver a point of sale system for the ticket counter, an electronic inspection device for our onboard crews to inspect tickets on the train. And then there's these web components that are both passenger facing. So passengers can look up their account, buy tickets and things of that nature. The same thing for our partners, and then some back office tools for customer service and for the ticketing department. And really all of those deliverables are in this phase one. The beautiful part about this is that all of those things are all a part of the same backend. So whether we're selling a ticket in a station or through a partner portal or through the application, all of that data goes to one place, which is not the way it works today. It's a little bit disparate. And so this will make things a lot more efficient from a reporting perspective, as well as from a customer service perspective. From a schedule perspective, the mobile app and the rider portal are looking right now to launch in May of this year. And then the point of sale and the partner portal are looking to launch in July. So that's where we're at. And so as we move towards these dates, there are a few other sort of components that we're looking to bring to you. And one of those is the fare program. And so Nick's going to talk about that in his portion of the presentation.
Thanks, David. Morning, Chair, morning, Commissioners. So I'm going to focus on the fare program. So obviously, with as much as David talked about, one of the check boxes is the fare program, and making sure we align that with the new ticketing system that we're going to launch. And so the last time the fare program actually came to the board was back in 2006. And so little items such as the 10 trip and things like that we've added have gone to it, but it definitely needed a more revamp to now align it better with the fare media, which David talked about, how it's all going to be on one backend, where currently today the paper tickets are sold on its own kind of little thing and recorded in its own little system and with your spreadsheets. And then the the mobile app has its own point of sale system as well on the back end. And so also this is going to better align it with the future service, which is with Valley Rail and San Joaquin's. And so the great thing about Valley Rail, right, is we want a passenger to be able to get off the San Joaquin's at a station with shared stations and then be able to go over to Ace, right? And we would hate for a passenger to have one set of rules here and then go over to Ace and be written up or something because it didn't follow the same guidelines. So in the new fare program, kind of just highlighted some of the things that will help us align with the San Joaquin's to make that experience a lot better when they go to purchase a ticket. And so some of those are in the discount area. And so on the left, you can see those are what is in our current program. And currently the senior age is 65. We're going to bring that down to 62. And again, that aligns with the San Joaquin's. Also, we identified children 12 and younger get a discount. Now it's going to be children 3 to 12. And then another thing that's been in the ACE program is we said any child 6 and under with one fare paying adult. So obviously parents have sometimes more than one child that are taking care of. So this is going to better align that. And so we're going to have children 2 and younger, and there won't be a limit, right? Any younger than that. So with a parent with twins or multiple children at the time. And then also in the free fare section, we did allow a personal care attendant to ride with an ADA, but we really didn't define it. And so this one defines it as an ADA certified person to then that helps with our PSR. So they could have just been anyone, right? Oh, this one's personal care. And this one really defines it. And then as the fare media. So currently the mobile app, those tickets do expire. Our paper ticket side, they do not have a component to have a mechanism to expire them. So we're not going to have the station sales go and they'd have to have a calendar, right? And know the different dates and the different medias and when they expire. This is going to align all that because with the new point of sale system, the limited use tickets that print out, they will have an expiration date printed on them and be able to coincide with them. And so again, this was in the resolution. This is going to align. The fare program will take effect when we launch the new ACE ticketing system. So today, currently with the paper tickets and the mobile app, those will stick with the current fare program. And then once we launch the new ticketing system, those will all apply to the ticketing system is being built on that. So the discount, all of those will apply within the new ticketing system. And so again, we're going to have a little lapse, as David kind of showed in that schedule, was the mobile app is going to be able to launch in May. And then July is when we expect the station sales point of system to launch. So we are going to have that little period where we are going to still sell paper tickets. And then once we get to the new system, then taking into effect the or they call them ones, the limited use tickets, those will have expirations, and then those will take effect as far as the fare media, both combining now. So when a passenger buys a one-way on the mobile app or a one-way at the station, they both will expire in 7 days. And then we also have a student incentive program. That is still a pilot program that is currently under review. It allows partner programs. So that's currently with Santa Clara, San Jose State, and also Las Positas. They're currently in the pilot program with us. We're going to be able to do more with it with the new ticketing system as far as what we can do. Currently, they get an allotment, they sell. We're going to kind of make that a different type of strategy. And so we're going to bring that back to the board at a later date with another program. And with that, the recommendation is to adopt the resolution. So any questions for the ticketing program or the fare program, David and I?
Thank you, Mr. Perez. First, we can go to any public comment. Do we have any, excuse me, online?
Seeing that online.
And any in the room? And that said, I will go with Mr. Marshall.
Page 46 was interesting. First off, the nouns, some of them, I'm sorry, I'm COVID negative, I'm not running with fever, I would sound awful. I think we wouldn't have had a quorum today if I didn't show up.
There you go. We appreciate that very much.
So with that, I'll explain that we're all safe. The words ticket and train are sometimes capitalized and sometimes aren't.
Okay.
And since that's the official policy, it's going to be distributed. We should probably be consistent. But it says misuse of a ticket, the ticket is capitalized and then later on it's not. Ticketing department is also capitalized and then it's not.
Okay.
Any ACE ticket are refundable. It should be is. It's B under refunds.
Okay.
So any ticket are refundable
Or non-refundable.
or non-refundable.
Yeah.
But then down below it says that refunds or exchanges may be allowed at the discretion of ACE. But again, their ticket's capitalized and the ticketing department is capitalized. So just go through that and be consistent and make sure that the grammar matches.
Perfect.
the tenth.
Cool. Yeah, we'll take those notes. Thank you.
That's our official, document.
Yeah.
Mention.
Thank you.
Marshawn, any other comment? Just a couple, actually kind of made me feel that I hit my senior age sooner than I really wanted. That, but there's a benefit to it, so I appreciate it, having a discount available. On the student side, I know we're still piloting that program. Do we actually look at, because there are, other than colleges, there are other types of institutional training programs that would be students. Do we have a minimum that makes that worth doing? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so when we were talking about this, that is something that came up and is something we want to be able to offer to exactly what you're saying, trade schools or other schools. And so the new ticketing system will allow us to do that, because right now with the allotment base, right, it's just sending more allotments to more schools and having a trustworthy person there that can sell the tickets. And so now the new, hopefully the goal is just going to be more of an entitlement, or essentially we would confirm with that school that that person is a student. We just turn on a button on the back end and they're able to see the ticket, that new pricing when they go to the station or they go on the mobile app. So yeah, so with that, that's a lot less administrative work, and it would help us definitely sell the program and work with the partners.
Great.
Yeah.
And then last question, this kind of came up in the discussion I had with Ms. Mortensen yesterday. Some of our stations are going to be unmanned, unstaffed, pretty much. And that being the case, everything being done on the app or prior to arrival or all of that. I understand, and I think that's why it's so important to get this system right, because of the fact there may not be anyone on site to necessarily help you until you get on and you have a PSR that's there. And I think that was one of my questions, is you get on the train and you thought you had a ticket, but then you find you don't, or you don't have a ticket and you want to get one, you should be able, the PSR will be able to help you through the app, get your ticket purchased. Is
Yes.
that correct?
Yes.
So even if they're not there on the platform or in the station, once they get on the train, they're able to get a purchase, somebody help them if they don't understand how to get their ticket purchased.
Yeah, we have, marketing has done a really good job with signs, especially with the mobile app. We've had stations sometimes where people have called out, and now with the mobile app, we've been able to say, hey, direct them there and say you can purchase your ticket. And they've done a really good job with messaging to us, help the passengers. We have similar situations where there's a station that we know is going to be unmanned. We'll work to put the signage and everything up to show.
I was just gonna
Exactly
say,
right, how it is to be,
QR code.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate that very much.
Madam Chair, I did have one thing, as I listened to the report, and it relates a little bit to the senior side, so I'm probably speaking more to that category. If you remember when Disneyland moved away from the ticket book with the A, B, C, D, E, and then they went, I anticipate we have some people that are quite wed to their ticket and how they wear it, and so that will be a bit of a transition for some of the writers. We've moved on to some that are more, digital, but we know there will be some, and so if you might get some commentary, I'm sure we will get some commentary, but we will try to work that through with people as best we can, just like Disneyland did.
No, and I think that's why the PSR has become even more important, because of the fact that they are that person-to-person contact, so appreciate hearing that. Any other comments? All right, I will take a motion, with an action item to approve and adopt the resolution.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, moved and seconded, can I get a roll call?
Thank you. I'd like to note that Commissioner Ding also arrived
Thank you.
online. So, thank you. Roll call, Commissioners Martin,
Yes.
Ariola,
Yes.
Ding. Vice
Yes.
Chair. Thank you. Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley. Thank you. Motion passes.
On to item 7, adopt the resolution for the Rail Commission approved 2 on-call agreements with HMTV Corporation and Rinkind Consultants for on-call services. So we have a report from Mr. Darrell.
Thank you. Some background on this procurement, Commissioner. As the Valley Rail program progressed, it was determined that there was a need for environmental services that were not under current contract. It was also determined, instead of putting out an individual procurement action, for every single requirement. It would be much more effective, efficient, and save time and money if we could put out one contract and issue task orders under this contract. In making that determination, we saw proposals for two areas. An area, as you see before you, a north region, which is Stockton and north of Stockton, and the south region, which is south of Stockton. These regions were determined based on population size. If you look at the population of the north region, which is again Stockton and north of Stockton, it's just under 1 million people. And then the south region, south of Stockton, is just over 1 million people. So the determination was made to have both areas the same size. A little background on the scope of this procurement. This procurement has 8 items in the scope, and they're before you. The first item you can see is the project study report and the PSRs. For lack of a better term, the PSRs are the scoping document for the actual CEQA NEPA document to follow. The second item you can see is the CEQA, and then the third item, the CEQA action and the environmental clearance associated with all of the CEQA items. The fourth item would be NEPA clearance if we had federal money. And then I'd like to highlight items 5, 6, 7, and 8 because these items are the field work that is associated with an environmental document. Item number 5 is survey. Item number 6 is geotechnical, to do the geotechnical borings. Item number 7 is the subsurface utility investigations, such as potholing. And item number 8 is the environmental site assessment, ESA phase 1 and phase 2. Now, a point of note, in ESA phase 1 is just a records review of the land use. You go in and you see, was it a convenience store? Was it a dental office? Was it an industrial site? And based on that, then you go to ESA phase 2. It is not a requirement. And the ESA phase 2 is pretty invasive. It's where you do the air monitoring, the soil monitoring, the ground monitoring, very technical analysis. But the point of all this is not just an environmental procurement. There's extensive field work that permits us to do under this procurement. So what is the sample project that will be covered under this procurement? So the project you see in front of you, the South Stockton Labor Project, would be covered under this procurement to allow it to achieve the CEQA and NEPA clearance. For the South Stockton Labor Project, it's actually 2 components. There's a track component to this project and a a station enhancement component. For the purposes of this discussion, I'd like to highlight the station enhancement. So for this project itself, we propose to increase the parking spaces from 27 to 68 spaces. That's actually a factor of 2.5. There'll be new dedicated spaces for ride shares, vehicles, and electronic charging. We are also increasing the safety and the security of the traveling public and the patrons by putting fencing and lighting. And then finally, we're replacing the canopy for the throughway bus shelters, adding a new bus shelter, adding and replacing park benches and trash cans. So we are beautifying the station. And obviously that requires an environmental clearance, and that environmental clearance would be covered under this procurement, just as a sample. With that, I will be followed by Ms. Autumn Gowan on the procurement approach.
Thank you, Lawrence. Good morning, commissioners. So the staff report is pretty detailed, so I'll hit the highlights. In October of 24, we released an RFP via our normal vendor portal, Planet Bids, the BBEs, Chamber of Commerce's, and then also on Transit Talent. We did receive 7 proposals. They're listed here. It's AECom from Sacramento, Condor Country from Martinez, Doken Engineering from Folsom, GHD Inc. from Irvine, HNTB Corp. from Oakland, Rincon Consultants from Ventura, and then Vandermost Consulting from San Juan Capistrano. The Procurement and Contracts Department did deem 6 of the 7 proposals responsive. The responsive proposals were then evaluated by the Procurement and Contracts Department and staff and a panel of the Rail Commission staff and contracted staff. All 6 firms on this list and on this slide were invited back for interviews and presentations. So after combining the written proposal scores and the interview scores, the firms were ranked in order of scores. With North region, we have HNTB Corp, and then in the South region, we have Rincon Consultants. So the Rail Commission is going to enter into 2 on-call contracts, 1 for each region, 1 in the north, 1 in the south. The contracts will have a valid period of 5 years from execution by both parties, and they'll have a cumulative amount of $3 million over those 5 years. So we'll be issuing task orders, and that is how it will draw down the money. So there's no guarantee that the $3 million will be used in those 5 years, but the task orders would identify the specifics of the funding, the period of performance, and the scope. And then so with the task orders are going to also identify the funding being used. First choice will be the capital project. If we have capital funds available, that'll be our first option. If we don't have money funding for that phase or for that project yet, then we will utilize professional services out of the operating budget. Again, each task order will be verified, like the funding is available before it's issued or executed. And then any task order over the executive threshold will be brought back to the board for approval. So staff recommends approval of these 2 on-call contracts for 5 years. I would note that there is a change. There's a sheet right in front that we did have to change the title. We wanted to clarify the 5 years and then the North and the South region as well. And so with that, we ask approval and we'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell. Any public comment online?
Seeing none online.
And any in the room? Seeing none, questions from the commission members? Just one on the contract, 5-year contract. Is there anything in the contract about an extension option or, okay?
No, the funding that we use is mostly state, right? And so the on-call contracts are limited to 5 years. We're not allowed to have an on-call contract for longer than 5 years. So we would go back out for this if needed. And then I would say that, yes, they'll be for the items that do come up, but if it's determined that it's best to go out with a whole new RFP for that work or whatever, we would do that too. So this is just for the things that we can't do that work on. So we might come back with more on-call or more environmental in the future, depending on the project and the scope.
All right, move the motion. I just want to make sure Mr. David, if I don't know, we have somebody on. So just want to make sure if he had any questions. If not, then I will request a motion to approve with the amended purple sheet. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Motion been seconded.
Thank you. This is for regular voting members only. Commissioners Ariola,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Vice Chair Zuber,
Yes.
Chair Craig Hensley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes.
And now we move on to item 8. Special trains.
I'm sorry for the previous presenters that didn't get that kind of reception. I'm gonna soak it up. Good morning, my name is Marcus Cook. I'm the marketing manager here at the Rail Commission. And so today we're going to talk about something fun, and really something that has added a lot of great value to the agency over the past couple of years specifically. And so we'll look at what we've done in FY23, 24, and then 24, 25. So just as an overview, when it does come to the special training program, I thought it might be helpful to add in some of just the parameters that we put in place to make sure that this program can be successful. And so essentially what we look to do to be able to decide whether or not we're going to be able to offer special training services, one, we need to make sure that we have a partnership in place. So we can't just say, oh, well, run to this event or that event. We really do look for the hosting venue to partner with us as part of the program. And so we've had a agreement in place with Levi Stadium since 2003. We also do need, of course, the board to approve and authorize because there is an expense to be able to run the special train service. And so we look for your support in that as well. And then finally, of course, when it comes down to some of the finer logistics, we look for our executive director to be able to really look over what we're proposing to make sure that, okay, does it make sense for this kind of event? What is the ticket selling, looking like? And that's another reason why we want to have that partnership with the venue, because we want that additional information to make sure that it makes sense for our agency. And then, of course, working with the host partners for the feasibility. And then we, have some specific goals that we're looking at. One, of course, ridership, but we're also looking at this as an opportunity to really expand the brand of ACE overall into the communities that we serve. We want to make sure that they are knowing about us, not just for the commuter options, but also for leisure as well. And then, of course, we're looking to offset some of the ticket revenue to help with those operational costs as well. And then just as the fine detail with ticketing, it is round trip, for those tickets, and it covers the entire route. And so, someone could potentially, if we were serving Levi Stadium, they could spend the day in San Jose if they don't want to do the game. It's completely fine. Now, to be able to help us be successful in marketing, these special train services, we've really integrated a very integrated marketing approach that includes everything from social media, doing grassroots. We have our own email marketing list that we rely on. And then we also, of course, do some paid advertising as well, because unfortunately it is a place where you still have to pay to play, it just works that way. And then we've even introduced some other, kind of fun activities as well with the support of Levi's, which I'll go into as well with the sweepstakes. And then, of course, we do our signage. But we also, in doing this, we know that some of the riders that come to us for a special train service, it's their first time. They don't really even know us as ACE or what we do Monday through Friday. And so we also like to point out, why you want to ride the train instead of driving. It's just not as fun. Trust me. And then I also wanted to just show a little bit of the creative that we use during the season. And so we did introduce with the board's support last year, a season pass. We really wanted to try to make it a more seamless process for our riders that were planning on attending for the full season, all the home games. And so they were able to buy all the tickets to the home games, the regular season in one transaction. They even got a discount in being able to do so. So essentially 6 trips for the price of 7, or 6, flip that, 7 trips for the price of 6, okay. And then I also wanted to just show a little bit of a video, some of the creative that we were able to develop in partnership with Levi's.
If you're going to Levi's Stadium for a 49ers game this season, you've got to check out Ace's Special Trains. Get game day ready, head to your nearest Ace station, and hop on board. You'll arrive at Levi's Stadium well before kickoff with just a short 5-minute walk from the station. You won't have to pay for event parking.
And you'll bypass traffic after the event. Plus, you'll have a safe and easy ride to and from the stadium.
Get your tickets now on the Ace Rail mobile ticket app.
For those of you who aren't aware, we did have a couple celebrities in there. Freddie Rodriguez from my team. He is our resident 49ers fan. Sorry for anyone else who's not, but he will definitely be there till the test time. And then also we had a special cameo from David's son. So, so Thomas gave us, some of his talent at no charge. And then, kind of moving into some of the other activities that we introduced, and this was to, again, just raise some more awareness about the special train service. And so we, asked for a lot, and what we negotiated down to with Levi's was to be able to do a promotion where we could give away a signed 49ers jersey. And so we were taking in, of course, people could enter for free, 100%. They could engage with us on social, they could ride the train, they could even mail in if they wanted to enter into this. And we got over 500 entrants to be able to participate in this. And then our winner is actually a regular ACE rider. She's been riding for a couple of years. She's usually 2 days a week going over to Stanford Health. And her husband had a jersey, not signed. She now has the signed George Kittle one, and she said, "This is mine." And she didn't even realize it was signed when she picked it up, and she didn't know who the player was going to be. And she was so excited over the moon when she got it. And then when we look at just kind of the overview of the season for this past football season, we did 7 special trains over the course of that time, and we had some increased ridership all throughout the whole season for us. And when you look at just kind of the sheer numbers, last time, the first time back doing this after a little bit of a break, we ran 9 trains. We almost doubled the ridership with fewer trains. So I think that we have started to figure out what tools and mechanisms we needed to put into place to make this a successful program. And then just for background, I show, some of the top 3 boarding stations. And so Pleasanton has really continued to really draw a lot of folks on. So we're really excited to see that on both sides of the Altamont, we're seeing some increased utilization of the train. And then, we were able to kind of just query some of the passengers, and 97.5% are satisfied with the experience. And so many of those will be back. So we're, very excited that we have a captive audience that we can tap back into from time to time. And then I also wanted you to be able to just kind of see from a train by train, game by game ridership perspective. And in this, you're seeing both the individual ticket sales as well as the season pass. So the season pass, we knew going across the season, we had 13 tickets that were sold. So, okay, yes, that does help us with some pre-planning. We were a little bit later into market with that than I would have hoped, but I think that with the work that Nick and David are doing with ticketing now, we will be able to do so much more and a lot earlier on. But either case, what you see is that yellow line, that's where we were last season. This is where we came in at this season. So we, for each and every train, have surpassed, the ridership that we did. And you'll also notice that we have a lot of Seahawk fans in our midst. I don't know if they are here, but they are amongst us, so just take note. And then I also wanted to show some of the paid advertising results. And so this is where you will see those ads coming up on Facebook, on Instagram. We even did some TikTok content this year. And then, of course, our traditional Google, search and display. The results are, on par or above what we did that first go round. And what you're looking at, I mean, it's almost 10 million impressions. Those are the eyeballs that actually see, the content that we create. People are clicking on those ads that they see. And then we also want to pay attention to that, just that rate that they're clicking through. And what you see is what ACE has been able to perform against our industry standards. So we are outpacing or at pace with what other industries are doing when they, put their money out there to get attention on their product or service. So we're really excited about that. And then, just kind of looking ahead, we are thinking about the next upcoming season and, what's involved. There's a lot. So we are definitely looking forward to having an elevated passenger experience with new ticketing. We know that, the 49ers schedule should be out around mid-May, so we can come back to the board and make our requests as far as, what we would like to do over the course of the next season. But then we also have Super Bowl, coming up. So it's being hosted at Levi's. We've already had to submit a, proposed schedule. They are really trying to be ahead of the game with this. And then, of course, the World Cup is coming as well. They put in another ask the Bay Area Host Council. So we're seeing what we can do, and we will come back and present, what we would recommend that we pursue with this opportunity. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thanks, your book. For your questions, do we have any Seahawks fans on?
Seeing none.
Yeah, any questions? Yes.
On December 30th being a Monday, how did that conflict with the regular commuters?
It did it all. It was a Monday night game. So we were able to make sure that the outbound train did not conflict with our trains that were coming back home. So it worked out really well.
And on the weekends, is there one train that goes down and then the crew lays over until the end of the game and then the crew comes back?
Exactly that. Yes. Yep.
Do we make money on that, or is this basically just a marketing device that we're using?
So the trains aren't paying for themselves 100%. So I will say that.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Other questions, commissioners?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I rode the train on December 30th. We did conflict because we had to leave at like 1:30 in the afternoon, so we were there before any of the stuff coming back. The entire experience with the train was fantastic. I took my daughter gave me the tickets to the game and it was great. But
I knew about
getting the ticket, not so great. And earlier in this meeting, there was a reference to people my age. We're not necessarily technologically proficient, and even with my grandson, I couldn't navigate through. We finally got it, and then the ticket disappeared. And when it was the PSR, when I told him what had happened, and they found it and put it back. So you got a great service, but for some of us, please work on making it easier to find the thing and say, yeah, here's my money, give me my ticket. Because it was difficult to maneuver through all the places. I got lost, and term used here isn't used there, so you don't know if there's a connection. So it just needs to be smoothed out a little bit.
That is definitely the goal. We weren't trying to make up for some of that extra revenue or operating costs. Mayor Marchand, I promise. No, really, no, we take that to heart.
Like I say, the train. Anybody from the valley that's going to a 49er game, you're a fool. You don't take the Ace train, because it's unbelievable. It's relaxing. You get there, you walk across the bridge and you're in the stadium. And you get to sit there and talk to people for a couple hours, which is beats the hell out of driving, I'll tell you that.
Will the new system be online when we do the next batch of sales?
Yeah, the new system will both components, right? The new mobile app will be online as well as the point of sale. And so the way that we do paper ticketing today really doesn't jive with having like a special ticket for a special train.
It's kind of an add-on, like a.
Yeah,
walk-on.
but in the new POS, we'll be able to say, hey, we want to sell that special train fare like at the station. So then you're not locked into only being able to purchase a special train in the app. Like you can come down here at Cabral and get like a physical ticket. So I think that'll be like a really added like bonus, like and the way that people want to interact like with that. So it'll be helpful.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Any other comments? Okay, I have two questions I had. Well, one suggestion, much as Commissioner Zuber said, I think it'd be really great. We do so many outreach events and activities for these, the season passes in particular. It'd be great to be basically have a sign with a QR code or something that, hey, get your season pass for 49ers games here. You know, that type of thing. When you're thinking about like our street fairs or anything else that goes on in some of our communities, walking past an ACE booth that shows a QR code that says, you know, you don't have to trick them to getting their season tickets here, but you know, your ACE season ticket. That gets them to the ACE booth is what I think that it'd be great to encourage. And so just mention of that. And then I think down the path, back to the point of the season, the special trains, in some instances, I'm gonna assume that's an introduction to ACE. Some people don't take it, you know, on a regular basis. And it would be interesting to see how many of those season pass or just special train riders end up becoming ACE riders, you know, using it more frequently because they're much more comfortable with it. So I don't know if we have a means of tracking that, you know, over the next few years, but it would be interesting to see the percentage of those that might become a new, more regular passenger on ACE. So just another thought. So this was informational only. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then the next item, ACE operating budget. Oh.
No, we have to be equally excited.
I apologize, I don't have a cool video like Marcus. That I'll work on with him and making one of like my staff entering it in. Put that on the next. So I'm gonna give an update on the kind of mid-year, right, on our operating budget, where what activity will be done July 1st through December 31st. So just for the board's information, our fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th. We begin the budget process in January, right, of that prior fiscal year. So our project managers are doing their best with forecasting what kind of current information they've had to that date. They're trying to think of future contracts, right, multi-year contracts or agreements we're in, any anticipated contracts or anything they plan on doing. And then obviously any rate increases, we always have this challenge on the utility end, right, where rate increases just kind of pop up or anything like that, and trying to time those, our project managers do the best they can to factor those in. We then, we bring a draft budget in May, and then in June is when we bring the budget inside the work program for the board's approval. And just like, you know what, it's March, right? We're doing a mid-year now, and that's just to capture, make sure we capture all the expenses, right? In an ideal world, all the bills would come in January 1st. That doesn't happen, right? For December activity. So we usually give it about 45 days. And so that's usually mid-February for all the December activity, just to make sure we capture it all, right? And give you a better picture and not worrying about things that are outstanding. So this is where we are today. This is this is a consent item. It is in the expense. It's in I think it's item 5 or in there, and 5 point something in that consent calendar. And so you can see overall, we've done a pretty good job of budgeting, right? On the commission side, we were at 40% at 50% of the year. And then actually on the A side, we're at 48% at 50% in the year. So we've done a pretty good job overall on the total budget. I'm going to kind of focus on categories where maybe we could do we don't forecast it seeing maybe going over, or maybe we forecast it seeing under. And I'll talk about how we handle that as well after. And so I'm going to focus on the project management section first. And so I identified a couple of areas that I'm going to kind of touch upon, and salaries and the professional services general. And so with the salaries, we budgeted for 89 positions this fiscal year, and we're really growing. 18 of those positions were vacant, and between July 1st and December, we were able to fill 8 of those positions, right? Not all on July 1st, staggeringly throughout the year. And so that kind of reflects that slow growth up towards that, hopefully 100%, assuming we fill all positions. One that maybe is the professional service general, right? And that one right now, at 50% of the year, we're at 103% on the commission side, 69% on the A side. And so some of it has to do with software annual subscriptions. A lot of them ask July 1st start date, right? They ask for all paid in full, right? That payment is made July. But another one is the seconded staff, which we know about with the capital program. And so this started back in 22-23. And at that time, we had 2 seconded staff. One is filling as the director of capital programs, right? And so that during that time in 22-23, that contract was 100% funded with the operating budget. As time has come and we've been adding more staff, the chief program manager and the grants have done a really good job in being able to get those contracts now supported with grant funding. And so those contracts have been up to 77% are funded with capital grants. The balancing act though that we face every year is, right, we've had the director of capital programs kind of in the on the salary side every year, right? The goal is to fill that position. I know we're working to fill that position. And so it's balancing that out right now. We don't want to double count, right? We don't want to then put it there and then put it in the professional services for currently the seconded staff that's filling it. So it's just a balancing act there. And so that's kind of why that's at the numbers they're at today. And then next is the contracted services side. So again, grabbed a couple here that we're kind of forecasting either to be maybe over 100% or some that are going to be coming quite under. And this is in the ASO and M. And so this kind of, in the end of 2023, we took to the board and we moved from Herzog to their armed TASI, and that was to that arm has the railroad retirement in it. And that move was made because retention and that arm and just hiring purposes and things like that. And so we approved that contract, but with that came the cost of the retirement now. And so with that contracted services work, those bills came in a lot higher. But at that time, in creating the budget, we didn't have as much invoices that we usually had from the prior years. We're pretty spot on the prior years. We knew the invoices, we knew the months, we knew the fluctuations. We weren't able to get that cost increase dialed down. And so that one looks like it may come in a little bit higher. But then on the ACE fuel side, we forecast that to be pretty high at the time, March of last year. We didn't really know what the rates would be, where it would be. And so we kind of built it up, worst case scenario for the rates to increase. But we have some room in that line. And so we're in good position in that. And so this, again, we have a lot of things we do now. And so this one, we have another budget. It's called the other managing services. And this is where we do the work on the state-owned equipment. And we're contracted with the JPA, and JPA contracted with the commission. The commission works on it. This is at 12%. And that's just because there's a legacy fleet, and we're expecting to take on that work in November of 2024. And that didn't end up happening. The contracts, all those negotiations got a little delayed. And so we're expecting to pick that work, get those contracts signed, and that work should start in April 2025 now. So we're expecting that to really pick up. And then this is the Track C program. And so, yeah, with 10%, you're thinking, oh, we're not doing with school. What's going on? Why is that cost so low? So Tamika and her team have done a really good job with Sac City, and Sac City has been a really good partner, and they've actually gotten grants for the first 2 cohorts. So they didn't need to even bill us for their staff time. And so that really helped us and helps the program. And so we are expecting that for cohort 3, we are expecting an invoice. So we're going to be working with them. But again, that will pick up to get us higher on the spent today. And so all about expenses, we'll talk about revenues. And so on the fair revenue side, that's been a really good story. We're 25% higher than we were year over year. We're 10% higher than forecasted. So that's really good news. One of the funding sources for the operating budget we want to focus on is the SB 125. And so Again, the federal government came out, when COVID hit, and they supported the transportation agencies and helped them with funding for the big loss in fair revenue. That is gone. There's no more federal aid. And so the state though recognized that, hey, we're not, the services are not back to where they were pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. And so SB 125 was created to help fill those funds to help with the fair revenue loss. And so we utilized that. And so during the time, we knew there was going to be delay, but both NPOs got the funding from the state. And so they've been dispersing both of those to us, which has been great for operating. And other than that, we don't see any other current impact any of the 24-25 budgeted revenues. And so kind of like, where do we go? Here we just staff will continue to monitor the budget, right, every month as we do. So we're talking about some of those categories where we see us going over, right, or some going under. And so the way the resolution is built is with those internal categories, staff reviews them. We make a proposal, they go to the director of administration, and then they have to go to the executive director to be approved. And those internal categories, as long as we don't affect the overall bottom line of what the board approved for the budget, we administratively have the ability to help those budget lines where the capacity is higher or lower. So we don't have to come back and forth every single time for any of those little adjustments. But if there is an increase to the overall budget that we see, right, maybe one of those do go too high and we are going to need more funding, that is a board item that I need to bring to you and bring you with what revenue source, how we're going to supplement to increase the budget. And then the last thing I'm excited for is we are able to do an RFP for budget software. Currently, we do everything by Excel spreadsheet. And as you can tell, we have a lot of things going on now, right? And it's a lot of data. It's just a lot of work. And so one little cell break, right, I think getting work in Excel notes can cause issues. So we did an RFP. I'm really excited. We'll be able to take historical data, put it into this new software. It'll help us with forecasting, how project management forecasting. We can actually build budgets out to 10, 20 years. So it'll give us the capabilities that an Excel spreadsheet is limited to, right? And so I'm excited to bring that on. And so, but that won't be utilized until the 26-27 budget build, but I'm really excited to bring that on. And
public comment online?
Seeing none online.
No public comment in the room? Okay, questions from commissioners? Just on the SB 125, I'm always, future funding, knowing that the state is, do we anticipate just kind of stable funding? How do we anticipate it for that in the budget?
So it came out in one large allocation that we kind of knew what we were going to get, and then we were informed of how much we would get, and so we split those into 2 years. They have to be utilized within the next 2 years. So we'll utilize it this fiscal year, and we're going to utilize it the next fiscal year. From my understanding, there is another allocation that's coming out, and we're definitely going to. We want to use that for operating, and if we can count on it to utilize it in the budget gap.
And RFP for budget software working as complex as.
Yes.
I know Leo and I looking at the audit. The fact that we're still in Excel, God bless you. But we need that budget software and hopefully you'll get a much better idea. I don't know if you know what the cost estimates are for that budget software yet or not.
We went through the process and they just released the notice to proceed. So
informational. We appreciate it. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, so we're at the board member comments. Any comments from board members? None? Okay, I just want to do a shout out. This past week was Read Across America week, and Megan and Tamika and James, one of our PSRs, joined me for 1, 2, 3 of our Lodi Unified Schools to read across America and orient our young people to the opportunity for careers in rail. We found out, actually, it wasn't in the class you were in, Tamika, but we found out that there's actually an ACE employee whose child works or is going to school in one of those classes. Oh, that was, they said, oh, my dad has a jacket like that. And you know, the kids just loved it because they love trains anyway. And so I really appreciated you joining us because we were able to get these kids thinking about careers as engineers or PSRs, and James did a fabulous job. And matter of fact, James did such a great job. He could answer questions that neither Megan, Tamika, or I could answer about trains. So I think in the future we'll do that some more. And hopefully when career day comes, that'll be another opportunity to kind of go to that next level with even older children. So again, thank you very much for participating in that. I think it was a great opportunity to reach out to the youth, and maybe we can sell some season tickets to 49er games because that's what. So with that, do we have any comments from our ex officio members?
Yes, this is Ken Baxter, RTD. I had two quick items I'd like to share, if that's okay. RTD will host the Stockton Move Downtown workshops next week here at the Downtown Transit Center. And those two workshops will be March the 11th and the 12th. The Move Downtown project is funded by a Caltrans planning grant to SJCOG, who gave leadership to orchestrate this with the city of Stockton. So Stockton's taking the lead. And it's for a development of a multimodal transportation and land use compatibility action plan. And the parameters of the study goes to the north, Oak Street, to the south, to the Amtrak station there at the tracks, the Burlington Northern Santa Fe tracks. And to the west, it starts from Center Street, goes east, all the way back to Airport Way. So it's inclusive of the downtown bus facility, of the Amtrak station, and the Cabral station. So that's good. The working group includes the Rail Commission, SJCOG, the City of Stockton, RTD, and a lot of other community organizations and groups. So it's quite extensive. The project will result in a combined vision and implementation plan with recommended land use strategies and transportation investments with funding strategies for that huge section of downtown Stockton. And again, this is inclusive of bus and rail, bikes, peds, etc. And it's anticipated the draft plan will be available for public comment around June, July, something like that. And a final draft plan is targeted for December 2025. So personally, I'm extremely excited about that. I will directly be involved with that and many other agencies and members from the public. And then lastly, I just want to share that on February the 25th, RTD received 3 first place awards at the 2025 American Public Transportation Association Marketing, Communications, and Customer Experience Workshop in Long Beach, California. I wasn't there, but we had a couple of reps there. And as I understand it, we received 3 awards for outstanding achievements, including the following 2 categories. One category was the best marketing and communication educational incentive category. And this was as a result of the Rosa Parks bus wrap that we did and the unveiling. And then the second category where we received 2 first place awards was called the Best Marketing and Communications on Workforce Development category. And the 2 initiatives that we had are the RTD Employee Appreciation event that we do every year for our staff and the operator recruitment campaign. So that's all I have. I'd like to wish everybody a great weekend. As always, any questions, anything I can ever do to help the cause to improve transportation, you got it. Sign me up. Thank you.
Mr. Baxter, is there a public outreach component still available for the planning process?
Yes. Whoever's interested, Jordan Peterson is in charge. He's with the Stockton Development. I think he's the deputy director. He's the point person, but I'm here to help. So send me an email, whatever I can do to make the connection. I think there's opportunities for all of that. There definitely will be more outreach to the public. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. This is Tom Dumas, Caltrans. I just wanted to announce that CalSTA recently released the Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure, CAPTI 2.0. It's building on the success of the previous CAPTI 1.0. There was a 12-month public outreach and identified 14 key actions to further reduce emissions and released into our environment. Since the release of in 2021, the CAPTI has guided billions of dollars in discretionary toward improvements that aggressively combat and adapt to climate change. The key transportation programs now generate less than 1/5 of the greenhouse gas emissions compared to previous emissions. And it's just been a very successful program. And the plan helps reaffirm the leadership in the climate friendly and equitable transportation policies for Californians. The USDOT has released a call for applications under its Vehicle Technology Office Grant Program. It would support the innovation of reduced energy and cost for moving goods and people by providing more options for consumers and businesses that can lead to an accelerated deployment of the advanced technologies for reducing greenhouse gases and energy consumptions. There's $88 million available there. Applications are due June 18th. And if anyone is interested in perhaps checking this project program for their agency, you can find information at energy.ca.gov. And with that, if anyone has any other questions, please let me know.
Here's Wallen.
All right, I don't have a formal report. I just want to wish everyone a great weekend and remember to set your clocks 1 hour ahead before you go to bed Saturday night. That's it.
Excellent reminder, appreciate that. With that, we go to our executive director.
Okay, today I've saved some things up, so I have 5 items that will go quickly. First is I do want to introduce a couple new employees, so I think Nick and David are going to get up and announce their new folks. I want you to be familiar with people, so when you see them in your communities at events, you will recognize them, or when we talk about fiscal in a minute, if your one-way travel is denied, you will know, oh, I remember I met someone today. Sorry, guys.
So we're happy to announce that Adele Ahmed has joined our team as our new PR manager. So I think this is both like an introduction and also a challenge. If you don't see Adele in your community, then you know he's not doing his job, and you can give me a call and we'll make sure he shows up.
Very nice to meet everyone. Well, we met before. Very nice issues. Adele Ahmed, the new public relations manager. So background, I worked for Congressman McNerney for 9 years on the district side, focused on healthcare policy. After he retired, I worked for a couple of federally qualified health centers focused on Medicaid policy. We had a meeting about a clinic in Lodi a couple months back. So I'm excited for this opportunity. Get to focus a lot on the work that we do with elected officials and just in general to outreach to our stakeholders, our constituents, our community members. As David said, I want to support everyone here. We, it's a marketing aspect that we work on, and Stacey and we talked about a lot of overall projects that I can help update the community on, but I want to also be a resource to the board. Look at the map, we have a huge region, so I want to be everywhere I can and help support your efforts to highlight the work the Rail Commission is doing and our aid services. So I'm really excited to be a part of this team. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
And just so fiscal staff are not scared to death, of course, the PR guy has to say
And then, yeah, I'm excited to announce 2 new hires to our staff. So Luis Aguilar and Nushin Tari. So I'm excited to bring them on. So thank you.
Welcome. And then I do want to announce, as you are aware, Lawrence Farrell, who made a presentation earlier, he has helped fill the role of the Director of Capital Programs for a little over a couple years now, while we've been searching for an on-staff director. And so I'm happy to announce we have retained Christine Inouye. She comes to us with very, very good large agency experience. She's been a governor appointee twice in her career. She is a licensed engineer, but she also understands how difficult it is to work through some of the different funding dot to dot we have to do, particularly in the state level, to get these projects across the finish line. So she will be starting next week. And we will, she'll be in attendance at the next board meeting in April. So you'll get to, if you don't meet her before then in some sort of project meeting, you will meet her then. So we're looking forward to that, and really wanted to extend our thanks to Lawrence Are you still behind me?
Yeah.
If you haven't had a chance to work with him, his grasp of engineering construction issues is pretty unparalleled. And he will be available to us for some of those difficult, complex things that come up that he has some good background on. So I did want to get a word. Good job. We had talked last night about high-speed rail and its potential impact on our programs, just based on what's happening in the new administration. High-speed rail did come out with what's called a project update report that they send out. Deanna will be able to tell me, I think it's every 2 years. It doesn't really give, here's our new roadmap. It says, there's a new CEO. Here's the challenges the new CEO has uncovered. Here's some thoughts about generally directions we might go, but then in the summer, there will be a more specific game plan for how the rail authority is going to go forward. And so we'll be able to tell you more at that time. Probably one of the biggest issues we have with them at the moment, it relates to the San Joaquin Joint Powers Authority. We're trying to relocate the existing Madera station for the San Joaquins to a new location that is much better in terms of where the community is growing, has some anchors, junior college and such out there. But it's also, we coexist with high-speed rail station at that point. And so council and I and Lawrence have been working to get that project through, even though there's some of this uncertainty, because we need that for the San Joaquins regardless. But as you probably saw, everything sort of hunkered down as people are watching what the new federal landscape looks like. So that's probably the one area we're pushing. We think we've made progress and we'll be across that finish line. That's a big project we've worked on for years with the Momos team. And so we want to get that one under construction, and really just this last agreement with high-speed rail is what holds it up. And then based on some board member comments over the course of probably the last few meetings, Chair Craig Hensley has asked for a couple of things that will support you as you do meetings with constituents, as you go to One Voice. And one is a listing of the congressional committees, and not just so much the who are they and where are they from, but what relationship do they have to our issues? Are they friendlies with such and such over here? Do they like our position on party contracting? Do they have a sister rail agency that has a lot of similarities to us? So we've got a draft of that. I'm still working with the team on a couple of things, but we'll get that out to you within the next couple of weeks so that you can really see, oh, who is, not just the congressional reps that are from our region, but you might have one from Missouri and Tennessee and Alaska that you don't know about because you don't know, oh, we actually have an interesting relationship there that we should bring to light. And so that will help you back there to talk to different people about your issues that have some common ground. And then the other is a one-pager that David's team has put together with Momo's team. And it's a draft. We want to see how this would work for you. So I'll hand it out when we're done. And then just give us comments that you have on it. If there's any conflicting comments, I'll sort of work that out to rationalize them. But it's meant to be helpful if you just have to explain to somebody really quick, hey, this is sort of what we're all about. Or if you want to take it back to have some data at your fingertips when you're in Washington. I did want to give some special recognition. Chair Craig Hensley and Supervisor Ding set up a meeting yesterday. It was very well attended between county staff and city staff on the Lodi station. So Lodi is a little bit unique. It is in the county boundaries, but it's in the sphere, greatly in the sphere of influence of the city of Lodi. So we had a great representation, the county administrator, deputy, we had city managers, department heads. So I think that, and I want to say everything if you'd like to jump in, but that's the kind of coordination we need when we have a situation like this. We can't be a referee for discussions that need to occur between the local jurisdictions. So it was very helpful to have everyone in one room. We had one decision we wanted to get clarified so that we could take it to the station and facilities committee next time we meet. So appreciate you and Supervisor Dave for organizing that.
Yeah, we appreciate you because I think we've all had these discussions before about how do we unroll our projects in our communities. And I think the first point is we start with all key decision makers, so they're all up to speed first, and I think it made for a really productive conversation. It was also a test for how do we roll this out to our larger community, and so I think that we've been able to give you enough feedback, because at some point in time, we'll want to do that to the larger community. And you guys addressed a lot of questions that we've had. And as you clarified down there, you heard from the decision makers what we needed to learn more about. So I just want to thank you and your team for putting that together. It was very important.
And thank you to Jackie, who really had a heck of a job trying to figure out, how do I get these kind of people all together in the room at one time? That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And with that, we are at Vice Chair Zuber's favorite part of the. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah, I think.